So the very first axe handle I ever broke was on a 6-pound splitting maul, I believe, and it had been beat up so badly that it just sheared right under the eye, as so many of them do. That sickening crack when I went to twist it and pop the wood in half. That was ages ago. But I broke this one. This is a Killinger French curve handle. Broke my heart. And I know exactly why this one broke, because I had one of the worst overstrikes that I've ever had in my life, because I was trying to learn Ben's stupid timber sports technique. Just joking, it's not stupid, but I couldn't get it. It really throws your accuracy off at first, and I overstruck so bad on like a 12-inch diameter cherry. The axe head kept going and the axe handle stopped. That one, I know why it broke. This one, which I broke last week, I'm not so sure. I want to take a closer look at it, and I want to let you guys hypothesize in the doobly-doo below. All right, let me move you guys before it hits you. So last time I was down here, I took out this maple to give that maple some more room to grow. And now this is an old cherry tree that's been cut down and more or less coppiced, but it was growing up spindly and tall as they do. And I've got an elm right there, and you could see some more coppice cherry in the back there. The elms are more rare here on my woodlot, so I want to give that one some space to grow. All right, the little braids made quick work of that. I'm going to switch to this 2 3/4 pound HB with the goatskin guard on it to limb. All right, I'm going to start taking this tree apart and just comment over it when something comes up. I think the biggest thing I want to say when it comes to limbing is that you really do want to be able to use both hands. There you can see me switching hands, but just take it easy. You don't have to swing for the fences. Here's a little branch I missed the first time. Switch hands, hit it the way you need to, move on. But you don't have to swing for the fences. And there are times when you do, and just make sure everything's clear. Here's a couple of those. And even here, I hope you can see I'm not swinging as hard as I can, not by a long shot. You just don't need to. When it comes to bucking, I've been working on tweaking my technique for the last year or so. It does incorporate a bit of the Basque style where you reach higher overhead with the axe and then bring it back down in like a snappy fashion. And I've been trying to use more of my body in the swing. Owen pointed that out to me, that I was really just using my arms before. Again, this is not proper technique. This is just what I've come to prefer and be used to. And I change it up just to experiment occasionally. So the other thing I do, which again is not proper, I'm not as comfortable standing close to the log as Ben does, because you'll see here my axe comes through unexpectedly there. And as long as you're pushing your handle down, the blade is aimed more into the ground than it is back to your feet. Now you sacrifice some power here, but I do think it's safer because every one of my blows is really into the ground.
See how it's busting that in half? That's what you want. Look at that.
Here it comes. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh!
Look at my funny face. Grin.
Oh! Guys, see that? Broken ash handle. This was the first ash handle I ever made. You saw what happened. You can see there the grain goes straight through it, so that's good grain. Probably had something to do with the cold, but I guess that's why they say hickory superior. Ash handle. That sucks too, because you guys know I was happy with this collar. I guess it don't matter all that much, right? Put a collar on there and it's garbage. All right, here, so let's take a closer look at what happened. Now keep in mind, I was trying to bust apart those two rounds in between that burl. That burl is really hard, and I was twisting my hips. That probably had something to do with it. I'm sure it has to do with the fact that it's cold outside. It's like 20 degrees right now, Fahrenheit. But if you guys can, so don't pay attention to these growth rings here. Pay attention to the grain. The grain runs straight through this. So it's not that there's run out here. I know some of you are going to be deceived by these growth rings and think that it runs out there, but that's not really the case. If you can see the grain grows straight through there all the way up into the eye. Now this is really thin, so you can blame it on the thinness. I probably didn't need to make it this thin because it's ash. I'm used to hickory, so lesson learned. And first ash handle I ever made, busted, and I'm not a handle breaker, which is sad because this is the first collar, goat skin rawhide collar I ever made. It came out really nice and I never even got to use it. So, oh well, that'll have to get put on the back burner and I'll rehang that and I'll put a collar on it. But you can see there, it does happen. Almost looks a little bit punky inside, like a little bit suspicious, doesn't it? Now on first glance you're probably going to think that's run out, but it isn't, at least not in my opinion. If you look down the handle here, don't be distracted by the growth rings here, and this may be an issue. I often wonder how close or how far the growth rings should be for an optimal handle. But notice here, the grain, this is the grain. Don't pay attention to the growth rings, the dark part. Look at the grain. It runs right through the handle. Doesn't run out there. I hope you guys can make that out. It continues to run straight through the handle. So in my opinion, this break isn't because of run out. Now it is awful suspicious that there's a growth ring right there, right? So I'm sure that had something to do with it. I definitely think the cold weather had something to do with it, because my other break, actually, if I recall, I think all three of the breaks that I've ever been witness to myself have been in cold weather. But this is what I wanted you guys to see. I don't know if you can make that out on camera, but to me that just looks sus, doesn't it? Doesn't it just look like it's been dried too fast or was allowed to get a little punky inside? I mean, compare that
to this. Now keep in mind, this is hickory and this is ash. I don't know what kind of ash. I don't know if it's white ash or green ash, but this just looks so much more dry than this, or this just looks so much healthier. Just thought I'd get your opinion to see what you guys thought. Was it just too thin for an ash handle? Was it the wrong kind of ash? Were the growth rings too far apart? Bad grain, run out, all the above? You guys let me know. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Give me that. You're like a dog. Little ferret. Let it go. Let it go. Now, how am I supposed to play if you won't let it go?